Today, I'm going to continue my analysis of Palantir by sharing some research about what is going on with the sales side of its business. In this video, I'll correct some misconceptions of PLTR's growing sales force, play a couple of clips of CEO Alex Karp, and explain how recent developments such as the IBM partnership tie back to Palantir's master plan for client acquisition, retention, and, ultimately, revenue generation. The misconception. This is a pinned tweet from Tom Nash, which has since been unpinned, but nevertheless shows that many people, even some disseminating information on the company if they have not done enough research, don't realize that Palantir has moved on, evolved, and is recalibrating for much more future growth with the aid of, yes, a Salesforce. More on that later. The original stance. But let's read the highlighted section regardless. This is from 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, which I've previously reviewed on this channel, and the book is linked in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. Alex Karp doesn't employ anyone separately tasked with selling its product. Instead, Alex, who is Palantir's CEO, spends 25 days a month on the road, meeting with clients and potential clients. Our deal sizes range from $1 million to $100 million. At that price point, buyers want to talk to the CEO, not the VP of sales. And here's Alex Karp 9 years ago with some footage I was able to dig up in February of 2012, voicing Palantir's original views on having salespeople.
We saw massive adoption without a Salesforce. So this is how we knew it was working, because one person would email another they have classified networks and say, this is awesome, you have to get that. And so one of the reasons to actually be very focused on an engineering team as opposed to a sales team is you really need to know, is the delta between what they have with us and what they could have really significant? The thing that resonated with them was, we said, we are not selling you a service. We are not going to come and sell you engineers. We are going to sell you a finished product, and we are going to show you it, demonstrate its value against your data. If you are iterating on a problem that you want to be important 3 years from now, it's better to have engineers figuring out what the core issues are and then iterate against them. If you want to optimize on revenue next quarter or even the next 9 months, you want to be heavy on Salesforce, long sales, short engineering. We're long on dealing with the most important problems that we can find, dealing with them in a productized way so that they scale for the client. And because we're long on that and short on what happens in the near term, we are not planning to hire salespeople. We still haven't hired any. We don't really hire non-technical people very often, and we don't have a marketing department, and we're not planning to get any of them.
So, does this change in strategy towards a more sales focus today mean that Palantir is now looking for short-term financial results instead of focusing on the long-term health of the business? No, actually, it's a sign of maturity for PLTR. Let's continue on. The new stance. This is a great article from early 2019. I'm going to pull some key excerpts from it. The LA Times. Palantir once mocked the idea of salespeople. Now it's hiring them. Palantir has always been a different sort of company. It didn't hire salespeople. It seemed largely unconcerned with pedestrian headaches like turning a profit. And it was co-founded and backed by Peter Thiel, tech's reigning contrarian. The 15-year-old startup has taken a cue from other, more traditional tech companies. It has trimmed runaway expenses, revamped its product aimed at large companies, and has even begun building a sales team, a function it has long disdained. Palo Alto-based Palantir has brought on dozens of sales staffers to pitch its new product, slowly changing its mix of employees. The sales push is a marked departure from Chief Executive Alex Karp's long-held philosophy. For Karp, it was a point of pride that the tech was good enough to sell itself. Karp once said publicly the only way he'd hire a sales team was if he was forced to by investors or if he were hit by a bus. As recently as 2017, he told CNBC, "Almost everyone here is an engineer. I'm a PhD in philosophy. And we have no salespeople." Some of the new hires have been top salespeople at major American companies such as Oracle and IBM. and additional hiring is underway. The product that most of the new employees are selling is Foundry, aimed at large corporate clients. By pouring resources into Foundry, the company has signaled a change of priorities, moving beyond a focus on government work and toward more seriously pursuing the larger, potentially more lucrative corporate market. The stakes are high for the new product. Everything rests on Foundry and the ability to sell it, said one Palantir investor. It's what makes Palantir a software company instead of a consultancy. Now the company's sales method is being duplicated worldwide. This involves dispatching a 3-person team consisting of 1 engineer and 2 people in what would typically be considered sales jobs to pitch clients on the software. It's still far from a traditional sales meeting, even with the increasing pressure to turn a profit. Palantir's pitch to clients remains fiercely technical. One recent hire tasked with wooing new customers said that after the first 2 months on the job, all training had been on the Foundry software itself, with no sales introduction. Palantir's evolution is not uncommon. Other engineering-first companies, including Slack Technologies, Microsoft's GitHub, and Dropbox, all went through similar phases of this anti-sales culture. Despite being much older than its peers, Palantir could pull off the same transformation. With maturity, they will bring in the right people. IBM Salesforce. IBM and Palantir's partnership will dramatically expand the reach of Palantir's existing Salesforce. This global partnership is the largest of its kind for Palantir, given that it now has access to a sales team of more than 2,500 people, up from the low single digits. This is the biggest partnership we've announced. Expect more, Sankar said. He said he expects to triple Palantir's direct sales team to about 100 this year, a significant hike for a company whose management once prided itself on not employing a single salesperson. Here's what Palantir management had to say on the Q4 conference call. This is Shyam Sankar again, Chief Operating Officer. This partnership dramatically expands our distribution capabilities, leveraging IBM's data and AI's 2,500 sellers. For context, that is a sales force that is larger than all of Palantir, along with an already large installed base of cloud-backed customers. We're very excited about what this partnership means for our go-to-market in 2021 and beyond. Additional commentary. I want to share some additional commentary from Palantir's management that I was able to pull up after listening back over the Q4 call. I'll make this quick, but I do think the context here is quite important and really explains what is going on. As we move into 2021, these innovations are not only helping our customers generate value much faster, they're also allowing us to broaden our go-to-market. We expect to add triple-digit headcount to our sales function this year. In our commercial segment, we generated greater than 100% US revenue growth in 2020 on the back of investments in our direct sales force. US commercial revenue rose 107% year over year in fiscal 2020, aided by our ongoing investments in our account-based sales force and channel partnerships. Roughly, a good way of thinking about this is about half of incremental growth is now being driven by our investments in the direct sales force and channel partnerships, and we expect that can grow pretty substantially here. But the places where we've had the most growth, US government, US commercial, that is way more than half. In terms of productivity ramp, I think we'll be ready to comment on that in future periods, but what we're seeing is a marked compression in how long it's taking to ramp our reps and get them to be productive. And we're also seeing this is happening at a time where there's just a lot more demand in the market. There's a lot more inbound coming to us, so we're pretty excited about ramping the reps and ramping the hiring as quickly as possible to meet that demand. The master plan. Recall Palantir's 3-stage master plan with the acquire, expand, and scale phases. In the first 2 phases, customers go through a pilot, acquire, and if the pilot proves successful, they move to a second phase, expand. In both phases, as Palantir proves the project's technical feasibility and customizes it to expand across the whole organization, it runs those projects at a loss with a negative contribution margin. However, However, as the company and account move to the scale phase, its contribution margins become positive and improve over time as the contract and relationship become meaningful. Since this is a flywheel, introducing clients to Palantir's software is crucial, and that's the power of a Salesforce, which is something that Palantir largely hasn't had access to previously. Here's David Glazer, Chief Financial Officer, speaking to Volatile Financials and the 3 stages of the sales plan. Last year, Apollo delivered a massive step change in terms of both cost of revenue and the efficiency around sales and marketing, and how we acquired customers in our 3-phase model. Outside of product is the investment in the direct sales force, which for us has paradoxically reduced the unit cost around sales and marketing. It's cheaper for us to acquire customers by building out the direct sales force, so you should expect to see, of course, a very significant investment in that going forward. The right way to look at this from our perspective is the amount of growth that we had in the US commercial, the place that we have invested significantly in our direct sales force here, which resulted in 107% growth. And then when you look at the investments that we're making with channel partnerships, Fujitsu in Japan, IBM worldwide, distribution in 180 countries, adding as many folks to our sales force, employees at Palantir, we're feeling really good about what we should be expecting from commercial going forward. Conclusion. In closing, Palantir is increasing its sales force at a rapid rate despite its comments from many years ago. Personally, I'd rather have a company that I'm invested in change for the better if they believe they've found a way to improve their operations than not change at all, obviously. And it's a little ridiculous to have Alex Karp handle all the deals, considering how much Palantir has grown at this point. So, ultimately, I think Palantir's sales hiring, partnership with IBM, and focus on its 3-tiered master plan only suggests that Palantir is ready for prime time and profitability going forward. Its products are fully baked and improving with each iteration, and backed by the biggest names in government and enterprise. As I see it, 2021 is Palantir's year to shine. Each new contract is a victory and one to be celebrated for the company. I think we have many, many more yet to be announced this year, and this year should be a landmark one for the business. Drop a like if my research in this video was helpful, and subscribe if you're new here. What do you think about Palantir's growing sales force? Until next time.